Hi there, I'm Julie Tam, managing broker of LYN Realty in Houston, Texas, and thank you so much for joining my weekly Wednesday video series, Smarter Real Estate, during this COVID-19 pandemic. Or if you're playing this video back later from my YouTube or Facebook, thanks so much. I hope you'll subscribe, follow, and watch all of my videos to take you on my real estate adventures and also teach you more about how to become a smarter buyer, seller, tenant, or landlord. All right, today I actually have a special guest with me, and we're talking about one of the most important components to your home, which is what keeps the lights on, the AC and the heater running, your appliances running, all of those things. And of course, now with the holidays upon us, your Halloween decorations and Christmas lights all lit up and pretty. And of course, if you have outdoor landscape lighting that's on all the time, we'll be talking about electricity today, things that power your home, the common electrical problems that you may have, and some of the stuff that we've experienced, even just during this pandemic, and how we've gotten an electrician to solve them. And that is who we're going to be talking with today. So first, before we introduce him, let me take you into my garage and explain a few things. So this is a Tesla Model X. It's an SUV parked in my garage here. This is my vehicle. And because it is an all-electric car, it has to charge. And so, you know, when we had the home built several years back, we specifically had an extra outlet installed that would be for a future electric car, because at that time we were already thinking about it. But then we had to have an electrician come in and install this conduit. If you can see this metal pipe looking thing running from the breaker box all the way up and around and to the wall over here where I've got a charging outlet. So it's just like you charge your cell phone or your laptop at night when you're sleeping. Well, my car charges up while I'm sleeping, and it's ready for me to go the next day, and actually a lot sooner than that. Okay, so because of this vehicle and so many of the other appliances in our home that we cannot plug in to a surge protector, not, you know, like your individual little strips that you might plug in a few small appliances or lights or lamps, things like that into, we can't do that with such large things. So today I actually have an electrician at our home installing a whole house surge protector. So I want to introduce Ariel Pontifez with A&P Electric. Hi, Ariel. Thanks so much for being with us today. And Ariel is our electrician that we hire to do a lot of jobs for the homes that we manage at LYN Realty. So all sorts of houses and condos, things that have electrical issues, we send him out to take care of them. So he's been doing great work for us. So Ariel is installing this whole house surge protector. And we're not talking about pricing on this video, but we thought it was definitely worth it because it can save some much more expensive electrical items from getting fried whenever you have, you know, a lightning strike or any sort of major power surge. So Ariel, tell me what is involved. What are you doing to install this whole house surge protector?
Yes, for a surge protector, this is a whole house surge protector, by the way.
Okay.
And this is going to be recessed into the wall. Surge protector. The surge protector is going to take care of all the 240-volt outlets that we cannot put a smaller power surge protector, like on other rooms. So that's why we're using a whole house surge protector.
Okay. And tell me, because surge is not the only electrical problem people have in their homes, right? There's a lot of other electrical problems that you commonly see. Can you tell me about a few of the most common problems that you see?
On the outlets, especially in the outlets, at this time of the year, they've been installing seasonal motors for blowers and things like that.
Big scary cats and monsters and things in the front yard.
And they're keeping me busy because they're overloading the circuits. And when they overload the circuits, they're gonna trip. Either they burn up the GFC outlets at the house, or they trip the breakers. The best way to check everything is by bringing my tester and test the circuit. If I see that the breaker, the ampacity is not too much, then I can go check the outlets and see the load, the problem on the outlets itself. If they burn up, they burn up. I have to replace it.
Okay. And interestingly, Ariel actually came to our home a couple of weeks ago because we had an outlet on our front porch that we plug in really simple things. Like we have this little electric pumpkin that we plug in every year. We have it on a timer, so it stays on for about 6 hours a day when sun sets, and then until like 11 p.m. or something like that. And even that, over time has caused that GFCI outlet to go out. So this year when we plugged it in, it wasn't working anymore. So, Ariel, you talked about with me how, you're having something plugged in, say, all year long, like landscape lighting will burn those outlets out even faster. I mean,
right.
Even like we have it just for this month, and just for several hours a day.
But just keep in mind that we use those outlets, the GFCI outlets, they're not meant to be used continuously for hours and hours. They're electronic devices, and they're gonna quit. It's like a breaker. It's gonna quit. And so the best way to do it, to check them, is by using our testers. Most likely they're melting in the boxes, and that's why it's very important to call an electrician, because that way we can inspect the wiring, right? Not just the GFCI. Because that way you're not creating a bigger problem.
Got it. And what could the bigger problem be?
Well, if the wiring is melting in the box and it's traveling to the wall, then we need to break the wall.
Okay. It could cause a fire?
And that's a fire hazard. Because all the houses, the wiring that we use for branching is strapped to the 2x4
the wood,
studs,
yeah,
right?
inside the walls.
So if they melt, they're touching the wood. So that's a fire hazard.
Okay. And then, the other problem we were having, talking about, tripping breakers, is in our kitchen. Whenever we would, it's funny because it wouldn't happen when we just turn the lights on and off. But our son, who's 1 year old, likes to turn the lights on and off. And so we'll hold him up to let him experience the switches, because that's a good learning process. But he doesn't switch it off, switch it on. He kind of like sometimes will press it halfway, and that's when they'll trip and all the lights go out in the kitchen. So tell me, what was the problem there? What did you have to do?
What I noticed in the kitchen, we have so many lights on the circuit. We have chandeliers, recess cans. Here and there, we had 4 sets of switches on the same circuit. And now, we're trying to turn on everything at the same time. It's gonna trip.
Okay.
Because originally, when they built the house, they didn't know how many lights you're gonna use, what size of light bulbs you're gonna use. If they're over, let's say for instance, 60 watts instead of 40 watts, that's a big difference if you count every single bulb.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're gonna trip.
Okay.
That's another thing. That's why I have to come up here and check your loads.
Okay. And tell me also the difference between a breaker box like this, because not everybody's breaker box looks the same. Our house was built within the last 10 years versus older homes. I mean, what are the differences and what challenges do you face?
Well, I've seen different houses, different setups. The new houses, they come with a built-in surge protector. Not all the houses, but most of them now, they come with a built-in surge protector. If you don't have a surge protector in your house, I'm gonna suggest you to get you an external surge protector. That way you can protect the whole house, not just the 240 volt outlets, but the whole house. Okay. And
those older breaker boxes, they tend to be about half the size of this one. And then what kind of problems does that cause?
Because remember, those other ones, they're about this big, and there's so much you can put in there.
Yeah.
Right. And plus, you can add other circuits because there are no more spaces. But most of the people, they want to add another circuit and another circuit when your box is full. Now we need to follow the size of the service. Like for instance, this is 150 amp service. If your box is rated for 100, I need to replace it with 100 amps. Unless if you want me to replace all the underground going up to the transformer, and that's going to add up quick
Right.
on the cost.
Yeah, for sure. Well, give us just one more thing that you see as a common electrical problem in people's homes. What should they do? What should they look for to spot them, and then what should they do about it?
Yeah, I seen people that are they're doubling up on the breakers. And let's say, for instance, on this breaker, which is a 40 amp, you're doubling up with small wires for other circuits. That's totally illegal, because then you're not protecting the insulation on the smaller wires. The breaker is not gonna trip until until we had a bigger issue, right? This wire in particular, that is designed for 15 amps only. And if you're trying to protect it with a 40, that's not gonna work. We're not protecting.
Okay.
That's something that I've seen on houses a lot. Not double up on the breakers, please. That's a fire hazard.
Okay.
It will melt the insulation.
Got it. And the insulation you're referring to is basically the kind of the synthetic material that is around the wires.
Yeah, all this, like you see, all this plastic that is protecting
Right.
the copper conductors in this case.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Well, thank you, Ariel. We'll let you get back to your work. We are looking forward to having our whole house protected from surges. And so I'll just kind of wrap things up with a few, final thoughts. Obviously, if you are wanting to have an electric vehicle, which are becoming so popular these days, I mean, Tesla's vehicles, for example, are some of the top selling vehicles in their class. And of course, many other car companies are starting to make electric vehicles. And so, you'll want to get an electrician to install the proper equipment in your garage to make that happen. And some households actually have multiple electric vehicles. And so you'll need to figure that out, and the location of everything, and where your charge outlet is going to be, and where your car is going, each car is going to park, and that sort of thing. If you're going to have the inconvenience of having to, charge one car and then shift, switch places with the other car just to charge that one, or if you want two outlets, those are all considerations. But certainly electrical issues can be some of the biggest headaches, when our lights go out, when things trip, when the breaker is just completely fried, and then you've got to wait on an electrician. So you want to make sure you catch these problems early, get an electrician out when you start noticing little things, like if there are lights that are tripping or appliances that are tripping and just turning off when you plug them in and start running them, then you've probably got too many things on that same circuit and causing those problems. So you'll want to get an electrician out there to look at it and fix the problem before it gets too big. All right, hope you've learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or message, and we'll try to get them over to Ariel to get them answered. Otherwise, join me again on a future weekly Wednesday episode of my Smarter Real Estate video series. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you have a great week.